fun.
I kick ass for the Lord.
I want to play a game.
They're here.
It's showtime.
All right, welcome to the Three Basket Cases podcast. Special guest Ricky Glore is here. You may know him from All Your Friends Are Dead and the upcoming Sweetmeats. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you. Thank you all so much. What a kick-ass theme. I love
Thank you.
just that little ear candy of all those greatest hits. So nice.
Yes. Yeah, maybe one day we'll have a contest so you can name as many of those as possible. So,
Oh, I mean, who would not? Who would come? Like, who could not name them all? The only one I didn't hear. I think I would have liked to have heard a little phantasm, like boy, like something of that in there, or just like the boom, just like of the gates, something, or the flying of the sphere, something phantasm.
okay, maybe I'll drop that in there
noted.
for future
Might have to
episodes.
throw that in there.
Yeah. So, yeah, I appreciate you joining us. We're going to talk about all your projects and your upcoming stuff. I was actually didn't get all the way through it, but I was halfway through All Your Friends Are Dead before we started recording. So,
Oh, awesome.
yeah, I was enjoying that. So, you are the writer, director, and actor in that and the upcoming Sweetmeats. So, maybe you could start by telling us how you got into the Troma universe, because the first All Your Friends Are Dead is not part of Troma, right? The Sweetmeats is.
No, All Your Friends Are Dead is currently, and I don't think for much longer, not by any animosity or anything, just because the contract is wrapping up that we had with SRS Cinema, who put out a really beautiful boutique copy, a DVD copy of All Your Friends Are Dead that had some special features that our Kickstarter for that didn't have. That's kind of a thing that we've like to continue doing whenever we do any kind of crowdsourcing. We like to have an exclusive Blu-ray just for whoever gives to that. So
Nice.
if it's a commentary, or if it's footage or behind the scenes, just whatever, we like to keep that exclusive. So if anybody is going to put out another version, they're going to get something different, because that's at the point where they're supporting. So SRS did All Your Friends Are Dead. It's currently on Tubi. Troma came about weirdly because we were looking for our follow-up to All Your Friends Are Dead, which we made for $5,959.
Oh wow.
Super low budget. And we're ecstatic to have that. And we learned from the mistakes of audio, for sure, some technical errors, and tone and vibe, where we shot the middle of the movie first, and then we did the beginning and the end at the same time afterwards. So I feel like the beginning and the end really work well, and the middle I would have done differently to fit more of the vibe of the beginning and the end.
Okay.
But so moving to Sweetmeats, after All Your Friends Are Dead, we're like, all right, what do we want to do? We want to lean into the horror comedy, because some of the trials and tribulations after All Your Friends Are Dead was we spent a bunch of money on festival submissions, where horror festivals were like, oh, it's too comedy. You have a comedy movie. And we were like, all right. And so whenever we got feedback from horror festivals, they were like, yeah, for our festivals, like, it's kind of hard to get people to come in and sit down. We really like picking these indie movies that have more, like, what our audience wants is kind of like TNA, and, a lot of blood, like a lot of violence or whatever. And I was just like, okay. Like, all right. So I was like, okay, what we need to do next time is we need to put on Front Street the very specific thing that we want to do. And it was going to be this movie called Open House, which was about these realtors who would take some of the people that they were showing houses to and hold them hostage in the basement of this one model house. and they would subject them to this workshop of this Broadway music, this off Broadway musical that they were doing, that they had written and were going to co-perform. And it was this. So the beginnings of Sweetmeats existed there because it opened up with a death where someone was hung up and their innards were cut out and their intestines were dropped inside of a bucket that said Sweetmeats. And that was going to happen throughout. And a runner throughout that movie was going to be that a radio or a TV in the basement was going to be playing local ads for this Bob Evans kind of restaurant called Sweetmeats, or this Cracker Barrel restaurant. And that was just going to be a thing that happened throughout. And then you found out what the connection, what that was going to be by the end of the movie. Anyway, we put that on Kickstarter. We had Edgar Wright retweeting. We had Roger Avery's resharing and just being like, "This is the kind of like indie film you should be giving to." We're like, it's going to be a musical, and it's going to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre meets Rocky Horror Picture Show meets Phantom of the Paradise, and didn't matter what retweets or what press we got, did not transcribe over to any kind of donations. We didn't get anywhere close. I think we were asking for maybe $15,000. I think. I think we got seven, maybe 7.5. And so I reached out to everybody who, because Kickstarter is all or nothing, even though you think like you want to have the more prestige. So I reached out to everybody. I was just like, "Hey, sorry, this isn't going to happen. You're going to get your donations back. We're going to try to figure out something we can do at a lower budget. Hopefully, when we reach out about that, maybe you'll be on board." So pretty quickly, Mike Flincham, who is producer in the movie, and he's Hardware Store Bob, who is Bobby Sweets the third, technically, in Sweetmeats. He's the one character that goes throughout the universe. Him and I were talking, and his grandpa in real life is Bobby Mackey. I was just like, what if that Sweetmeats idea that we had, like, I already had that it was your grandpa. I was like, what if we did the prequel to Open House, which it was just about that family, and we combined it with this other thing I did in Chicago, where I did Fleetwood Macbeth, which was what if we did Macbeth in a radio station in the 70s using the music of Fleetwood Mac. I was like, what if we kind of married these ideas together? I was like, we already had this restaurant that said they would let us film there. What if we like use kind of the buffalo of these crazy ideas that we've talked about, or these hypothetical prequels or stories, and we just used a bunch of things we haven't used for other projects, and we made it this thing which ended up becoming Sweetmeats. And that's how Sweetmeats came to be. We were 2 weeks before filming, and Lloyd, I had reached out to on, I think it was still Twitter, and I was just like, "Hey, would you do a cameo for this movie Sweetmeats?" And he was like, "Yep, fantastic. Send me the script." We did.
Awesome.
His email, his legit email, sent me an email with his assistant Garrett Sullivan at the time, and he's just like, "Garrett, get the full script. We need to know what we're filming a scene for." And so he got the script, and then Lloyd shot me an email, and he was just like, "Do you have any idea who you would be distributing this through?" And we're like, "No, we have no idea, because last time the festival circuit kind of burned us." And he's just like, "Well, would you like to make it a Troma movie?"
Wow.
And then that is literally, there was no interference. He did his cameo. The only time that Lloyd made a suggestion about the movie was we sent him a demo of the trailer, and he was just like, "Good trailer. I think it sells the vibe of the movie, but you don't show anybody singing or performing." And at that time, we didn't have "The Devil Was a Woman," like that being the song that was playing throughout, and then the end of the trailer. And we were all just like, and he was just like, "I think a movie that's going to say that it's partly a musical should just show people singing and dancing." And he's like, but it's up to you. It's your movie. And we were all just like, that's a good note. That's a good note. Lloyd made a good note.
Nice.
And so that was, I mean, out of all of it, I mean, that is the best and worst I can say about Troma is they've never promised anything that they haven't fulfilled. Like they've not, like there's never been a, oh, well, you said this. Like there's never been any of that.
That's great. Sounds like a very low maintenance, and they're not like leaning over your shoulder and asking you to make tweaks. So that's awesome. That's great.
That's
No,
kind
and
of
we were worried the whole time that we were just like, we don't have nudity. Like
Mhm.
this is going to be the mildest trauma movie. That's the thing that's working against us a little bit. It's nice to get different eyes on it that are trauma
Mhm.
with that moniker, but it's hard then getting reviews that people are just like, this is the tamest, like nicest trauma movie that has ever existed. Like there's just no boot. Like we were worried. We were like, even the actresses who played the cheerleaders, one is a ex Playboy playmate, one is an OnlyFans model, and one is an adult stripper, like a dancer. And so they all were willing to be topless. And like Nick and I, Hyatt's at the end of the day, we were just like, that doesn't matter. Like why? Like you get the same thing. Like you know what's going on. Like we're not going to be like, yeah, like what's the point? We think that way now because we're like, oh, we know if you want to see porn, you can just go on your phone and look at porn. Like you're not that kid in the 80s anymore, or the early 90s
Right.
who's just like, I need trauma movies. Like I
Right.
need
that was kind of my question was, but I think your answer kind of reversed it. I was going to ask, like, there was a Troma that, I just realized recently Troma's been around for 50 years, right? Celebrating its 50th anniversary. And all of these, they have like, I don't know, like 1,500 movies, way more movies than I imagined. But you have a Troma movie now. And my question was, did you have to, there's a world that they live in. Like, do you purposely have to plant this movie in that world? And how do you make sure that you're doing that? But it sounds like they were like, do whatever you want. It just happening to be in that world.
yeah, and I will I mean there are my biggest complaint with Troma, and it'll be easy Front Street, and Lloyd knows this as well, is I put a lot of time and effort behind. I figured out pretty quickly that if you are the if you are a carnival barker for this thing that you make these micro budget like big dream kind of things, like again we made sweetmeats for under $22,000, um and I thought, oh, not only with Troma is it nice like getting not knighted but just being like, oh, okay, they do have this history of, Matt and Trey, you got James Gunn. They do have this pedigree with Eli Roth. A lot of people have come through those doors via like almost a Roger Corman-esque kind of way.
Hmm.
That there is a nicety. Nicholas Hyance, who is a good yin to my yang when we're working out this Troma deal, that again, easy dealings. We went back and forth, but like we both reached an agreement that we all felt comfortable. They own the movie, we own a little bit of it, but Hyance, rightfully so, would text me these trailers of Troma movies from like the last like you said 50 years, and just be like, are you sure we want to be a Troma movie? And it would be like Rowdy Cowgirl starring Shannon Tweed, where it's just like the trailer is completely like nude on Front Street. Or there was like this shot on look like a Nokia cell phone rip off of 40 Days 40 Nights, um, early 2000s movie that looked awful. And he's like, are you sure you want to be a Troma movie? And I said, yeah, because that is the next step. Is the issue that we had with All Your Friends Are Dead is we didn't know who to get whose eyes to get in front of, and I thought the horror route was going to be it. And getting pegged for it being too comedic, I was just like, oh, I was like, all right, I don't disagree, but I was like, I think that's a genre within horror that like has some appreciation.
Yeah.
And so with Troma, the thing that did for me, I was like, okay, this gets some more eyes, at least get some more interest if anybody takes a lick of it, of that sweet meat, and then it's just
Mm.
like, oh, I like the taste of this, like maybe they'll stick around for what we're doing, and maybe we'll start playing with kind of what genres we're gonna do next.
Hmm.
Because if you watch Sweetmeats, like it's, I don't think its forward thrust is that like it doesn't go as far as like Motel Hell. I think the satirical nature of it does, but I don't think like the horror of it, like trying to be a scary movie, uh, does. But to answer your question before about being in the world of Troma, um, Lloyd's always throwing stuff against the wall, which is great. It's like one time he tweeted like Ricky Glore is going to be involved in the next Poultrygeist too, along with Mercedes the Muse and this person. That was the first I had heard of. I've never seen Poultrygeist. Like
Mhm.
it's not one of the Gilbert Godfrey and Rhonda Shear Up All Night Trauma movies that I saw growing up.
Right, right.
So
Right.
I was unaware. And so I texted him one weekend. I was just like, hey, hope you're having a good weekend. Saw what you tweeted. In what capacity were you thinking I would be involved in Poultrygeist too? And he was just like, oh, I don't know. What would you want to do with a Poultrygeist too? And so then I was like, let me get back to you in a couple days. And so like I went to Heinz. I was like, what would we do? And I was like, honestly, I think I'd want to do like a Reefer Madness. I'd want to make it Music Man. I'd want to make it that it's like the like OG food truck. I'm burning this idea here because we're never gonna use it. Uh, it's like this complete like golden age musical, like, and it's 100% Music Man, but it's a chicken food truck, but they don't have the technology to keep the chicken up to code. So then it turns like zombie, like it gets like the salmonella zombies, like it's a thing that happens real quick. I was like, but so it's not a sequel to Poltergeist 2. It's as much a sequel to Poltergeist 2 as Hello Mary Lou Prom Night 2 is to Prom Night. Like, so needless to say, that's not the direction Lloyd went. One of the people he had tagged, Mercedes the Muse, he's just like, yeah, she's gonna do it. It's not like I lost the pitch. It's
Hmm.
just the one of the best quotes I heard about Troma was from Ben Johnson, who's worked with Lloyd forever and did Curse of the Were-Deer, which really fits well into the Troma pantheons. Very similar to I think like a South Park, like a naughty body South Park movie. Is he said Lloyd doesn't want to make your second movie.
Hmm.
Lloyd wants to make your first movie, and then you go off and then go get famous.
Hmm.
Not to like ride your coattails, but to then just be like, I knew it. I knew they had
Mhm.
something.
That's
I
cool.
don't want, it's like he kind of like wants to see you grow your wings and fly away.
Yeah, yeah.
But as I can say, like everything that we have coming up, Lloyd has been 100% supportive and made a support video. So
That's great. That's awesome. So I noticed you had a lot of the same actors in both movies. Is that like a group you work with all the time? You guys like a troupe? And are they going to be in your new Casually Cool and Trudy, or your new projects? Are they going to be in those as well?
yeah, I'm trying to think of. I know there are a little bit of crossovers. Eileen, Ernest, and myself. I will not be. If I cannot be in Truly Trudy, that is the dream. That is part of the
Okay.
why we're raising as much budget and funds for that is so I don't have to wear a pivotal hat. I am gonna be one of like in Casually Cool the kind of like the gym, like every detective show like the Rockford Files or Magnum PI, they had that like cop friend who they like occasionally went to like for information stuff, like they butted
Mhm.
heads but they respected the hell out of each other. I'm going to be that in Casually Cool, but the benefit of that is Timmy Barron, who is Jerry in Sweetmeats,
Mhm.
is playing the Jim Rockford kind of Thomas Magnum role in Casually Cool. So I get to just be in scenes with him. And so for me, like Eileen Ernest, who is in All Your Friends Are Dead and Sweetmeats as Laddie, she's going to be in Casually Cool as one of the leads. But so the idea of 2 movies in 1 year is that we make Casually Cool at like an All Your Friends Are Dead level budget, like $7,000 to $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
So Timmy will be a lead in that. Eileen kind of in the top 4 of the leads.
Mm-hmm.
And then Trudy will make in the summer of 2026, as long as we get $40,000 for that. And Eileen will be the lead of that, and then Timmy will be the number 2.
Okay.
So I mean, it's not a troupe. It's just Timmy. I worked with in Chicago. He was a guy who had worked with Second City, and him and I both worked for a sketch drinking game show called Bye Bye Liver, and together we were each doing different sketch shows, different improv groups. Had been in Fleetwood Macbeth, the one thing that I mentioned before, being an inspiration for Sweetmeats. He had been Smokey and the Bandit, the musical. He played the bandit, where my wife played Frog in that with him. That was the last show we did in Chicago. But then, so Eileen Ernest was just a local actress in Cincinnati and comedian who I had seen do things. And I just immediately was just like, oh, you're someone that, like, if you ever want to do whatever we're putting together, like, I'm going to reach out to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's always up to her. And I'm surprised that they each want to continue in these goofy projects that we keep on being like, all right, we're going to do this like Murder, She Wrote, like weird mystery, but it's like this 2-parter episodic thing that we're going to do is like an 88-minute movie. Are you guys on board? And they're like, all right, sure. Let me read it.
Nice.
Yeah, it makes sense because it seems like with movies like you said, like Poultrygeist, you have some guy turns into a chicken, pecks someone's eyes out, then they're thrown into a deep fryer, and then a baby's killed, like all these things. But it seems like what I liked about this Sweetmeats quite a bit was it.
Oh yeah, you guys talk about Sweetmeats. I don't get the benefit of hearing like, tell me good, bad, or indifferent. I'm not gonna be like how I've never and like shut off like the interview. Like I want to hear you. I love hearing because Sweetmeats is. That's my complaint about I didn't finish it on Troma is I still have to make the connections. If Sweetmeats is going to get shown, it's not Troma.
Mm-hmm.
Troma has gone through, Lloyd does have a new assistant, Andrew Miller, who has been great to work with. But I feel like Garrett, this isn't like throwing Eddie Scuttle, but like Garrett, I think was a big component of why Lloyd picked Sweetmeats. Lloyd loves musicals. Lloyd loves film. When he came to Cincinnati for the premiere, I picked him up from the airport, and he came to my parents' house in Florence, Kentucky, and we had a chili dinner and Grater's ice cream.
That's
and,
amazing.
Like, drank some Kentucky bourbon. Like my dad showed him the Rocky pinball machine because Lloyd had worked on Rocky, and he told my dad about like Stallone stories and John G. Avildsen's shit. Like it was awesome. Like Lloyd. Fantastic. His assistants, fantastic. Their goal switches based on who is basically the new batch it's almost like SNL casts.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not liking the cast, like the voice of the cast, that just might not be your time for you, and maybe it is your time to get off the ride completely. Mm-hmm. Troma right now, there is a new regime that they're trying to utilize and make Troma what they think Troma should be. Because also, Lloyd's not going to live forever. Sweetmeats is not necessarily part of that. The good thing that I can say is, if ever I hear, you'll see me post on social media, is like, does anybody want to screen Sweetmeats? Because I know the deal. Like, I know what Troma wants, what Troma requires to show it. So I can make that connection happen, and it's a pretty easy deal. It's 50-50 of ticket sales.
Okay.
I have to say, oh, please.
No, yeah, jump in.
So sorry, go ahead.
No, circling back over to Sweetmeats and the cheerleaders scene there.
Yeah.
I know while watching it, I was like, okay, here we go. The girls, their shirt's going to get ripped off, and here comes some TNA. And it didn't happen. And, like you had said, to me, I think it would have kind of taken away from it because it would have been almost an eye roll moment to me. In the movie itself, like it was what you decided not to put in there and not have the TNA that kind of made it a little bit more endearing because as I was watching it, I was like ready to eye roll it. You know, here comes the tits.
Here's our lame excuse. Like, what is a children's book? Like,
Right.
Yeah, right.
it is a small child's like, or you are disgusting. Like, no, like we also, I mean, so that again, I'm just saying, like, it's a conversation we had, and like we grew up on, like, Heinz and I grew up on those movies. And Heinz's yin to my yang is like he grew up on like those martial arts straight to video movies that I didn't necessarily watch. So like over the years, like together we've shown each other's like kind of our backgrounds. Us meeting in high school, he brought to me Robert Rodriguez, and I brought to him Kevin Smith, and like together we had like Tarantino and like George Romero. Like together we do have those great fuels, but like you know what? Now that I mention it, it's funny that you said that about not showing the tits. I do think Heinz and I both remember, obviously, both attracted to Selma Hayek. But if you've ever, we love 90s commentaries and 90s DVDs. If you've ever listened to the commentary of Desperado, Robert Rodriguez talks over the nudity scene, the sex scene with Antonio Banderas and Selma Hayek. And he said, yeah, Selma had a really tough time. This is 3 days or something worth of filming. And she kind of cried the whole time during filming. And he's like, it was really hard. It was like, it was a really hard shoot. And I think that was one of the first times that we were just like, oh, like, yeah, that might not be cool for everybody. Like, oh, what a different perspective. Like, and I just think, again, we talked about it because one of the things we talked about in Nick's restaurant, which was really Nick Vitus, who did work on the music, and that was his restaurant. He is the guy playing bass in the musical sequences. That is Nick of Nick's restaurant.
Oh, okay.
He was just like, look, I got a lot of this meat that I got to boil down for different recipes and stuff. Do you want to come in and get B-roll of it? And so Heinz and I, after a principal photography, we had a list of B-roll, and that was one of the things. Album covers of the different singles that Bobby was putting out was part of it, and then insert shots of the different foods, of like the balls or the different things that they allude to, that he says at the end when Bobby's like rattling off the different things, like, and now we got this and we got this. We were going to show those kind of like we do the pork sickles in the montage sequence. And we were just like, we have the movie. Like by that time we had already had a rough edit of the movie. And like we had the movie. Would adding any of this stuff add anything to the movie? And in our like micro budget mind, we're like, well, how much would that cost? Well, it would be this, and this amount of time. And we were just like, yeah, we're just not going to do it. Like, yes, it would be great if we had time to like have this artwork produced and like do this and do this and do this. But I was like, yeah, we just don't have the time. And the one thing that's nice about continually like putting our feet to the flame, like with the two movies in 1 year, one calendar year, is technology is getting better, that we can do some things just a little bit quicker. And like one of the things that we haven't nailed down yet is, do we want to film on the iPhone 17 because it does film in ProRes RAW, and that's a Heinz in our. I am not the tech at all.
So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think all our favorite parts of Sweetmeats was Pizza Guy. Who
Yeah,
I
Pizza Guy
was
was great.
cracking up during that part.
I think he needs a spinoff.
Yeah. I want a Pizza Guy spinoff. Is he going to be in the new movies?
Wait, and you didn't get to the end of All Your Friends Are Dead?
No, but I saw
He's in.
That as
He's
soon
in.
as I looked him up, as soon as I finished Sweetmeats, I
Yep.
saw he was in
Yep.
there, and I'm like, all right, I'm going right into this movie. So yeah, I didn't get up to the part with him in it though.
I love it. I told Kim, I was like, this is so. Mike Flincham in All Your Friends Are Dead, Hardware Store Bob. That scene, like whenever we went to festivals or live screenings, his opening scene and then the end scene about the noose, always killed. People are just like, oh my god, that's so funny, it's so funny, it's amazing, it's amazing. And we tell Mike, we're like, you need to come to these screenings and see this. Kim, I was like, you are going to be the hardware store Bob of Sweetmeats. People are either going to, like, it's going to be like the Martin Short. People are going to love you or you're going to overstay your welcome. And you don't need those people anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But so I kept on telling him this. And so him and I we travel and do stand up together sometime, Kim Sherwood. And I told him, I was just like, man, people, when they watch it, they love, like, I've done podcasts where people bring up that you are their favorite part.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, man, if I'd have known that, I would have worked harder on the part. And I was like, no, you wouldn't have.
Yeah, we were all watching around the same time, and we were texting each other like, "Did you get to the pizza guy part yet?" And we were like,
And it was like, what's the pizza? So here's the thing is, let me ask you, I each want you to answer honestly. Like, if you're able to Jeopardy, like, write down your answer so you can't change it or be influenced by the other person.
mm-hmm.
Does pizza guy, is he attracted to Bobby or is he attracted to pizza?
Mm.
Do you have your answers?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I think
what do you
so.
think? What do you guys? Okay. What do you guys think?
I'll go first. I don't think it's the pizza. I don't think, because I think
Okay.
it could have been changed by anything. I think, like, he likes to be naughty, right? Like, he's being naughty.
Oh,
and
okay, yeah.
He liked the pizza. It could have been pizza. It could have been ice cream. I think any food itself could have been interchangeable. And I'm not sure he's attracted to Bob. I think he wants the attention of doing this. Like, I think he likes.
Oh, he's an exhibitionist.
Well, no, he lives in a small town and he doesn't get a lot of times to perform.
Yeah.
He walks into this place and he's larger than life. He's got all these things to say, and he's like, you know what? I have an audience of one. I have an audience of one. It's my time. I'm going. And I think he's attracted to himself.
Okay, I like that.
I don't know. Could be right or
No,
wrong.
no,
So
no.
introspective.
No, I like it. I like it. I love it. This is what we do on this. Like, this is what we like. Eileen, who played Laddie, she is the best for, like, I need to know everything about the backstory. She's like, I swear I'm not doing this to be annoying. I was like, no. I was like, I've worked with you enough that I love this. Like, through different things. Like, she wanted stuff about, like, the mom. She's like, what happened to the mom? I was like, mom just left. Mom was just like, I can't put up with this. And she just, like, was gone. And she's like, how old was Laddie? I was like, 5. I was like, she knew that young. But yeah, okay. So yeah, what do you think? Loves pizza or likes Bobby, or looking for any outlet to let that freak flag fly?
I took it more as he was cheating on his diet, and that, and that's what he wanted.
So it could have been like a Cinnabon if he had the cravings for, like, a Cinnabon.
But that day it was pizza. He just couldn't get it out of his head, and he wanted to cheat on his diet, and he was going all out. I didn't really take it as he was hitting on Bobby.
But also, he found out they didn't have pizza, and he didn't stop.
Yeah, he was in pizza mode. I've had cravings where I'm like, I'm not eating
any food.
anything else. Yeah.
Well, also, as you mentioned, it's a small town, and this guy says, like, I've been here before. No, you have pizza. Like, someone there probably knows him. Like, this is probably not, like Surly Shirley, this is probably not the first time this has happened at this restaurant. Like, there's a revolving door of, like, what is that, the Bob Newhart show? Or is that Newhart? Where it's like Daryl, and Daryl. Like, there is just this weird collection of this Mayberry, like, town. That's why some if you look, the one of the dumb things that we did to almost make it like storybook, like almost like Susian, was all the town, like, proper townspeople have unibrows. Have, like, ridiculous, like, unibrows. Okay, yeah. So my original, the way Kim asked me when he asked me, like, how I wanted him to do it.
Oh wait, let's get Frank.
Let's
get Frank.
Sorry.
I think he was attracted to him.
You think he was attracted to Bobby?
Yeah, he was attracted to Bobby.
Okay.
He was off to the side. They were alone together. He was going on and on about the pizza. To me, it was like overtly going at Bobby. through the pizza.
This I love this so much because Kim is just like no one cares about that scene, whatever. I'm like, yes. I was like, it works so like even I think it was our sound mixer, a friend of mine, Nick Prince, who's just like that pizza guy scene goes on a little long. And I was just like,
No,
no,
not
No.
long
it
enough.
goes
Yeah.
on. I was like, it goes on just appropriately length. Like, yeah.
And
But
even
so,
when he even
yeah,
when he's
yeah.
like, "There's no pizza," and he keeps on going about, "No, I know there's pizza. Like I've been here. There's pizza," and it's like, I don't think he's talking about pizza anymore.
No, it's science denying. It's
Yeah.
it's it's everything right now. That is a little bit of just like, oh, just like like there's no use in arguing just sometimes. Just like what's going on. That is different. We've asked different people on podcasts like who their favorite characters are. I would guess you guys. So the answer is, when Kim asked, he's like, "How do you want me to play this?" I was like, "Just you, like, just dial it up like how you are, just like, but just be like obsessed about pizza, like sell me pizza, because that's kind of like the kind of he's just a high energy guy, especially as a guy or a stand up, and he's just like, yeah, but like where like what is he what like this feels like he's horny, like what is he horny about? I was just like, oh, he's horny about pizza.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what the reason is, and I think we said like I don't know if he's breaking his diet, like I don't know what is going on, but like he just wants fucking pizza. Like pizza is doing it for him right now, and not in a disingenuous way, just like this is like real, this is like the oh, I think gosh, this might be a weird reference. Friends, where Monica goes through the different erogenous zones for women, or like that they're numbers, and she's like, it's a 2, and then it's a 4, and then it's a 6, and then it's a 4, and it's a 2, and it's a 2, and it's like she keeps on doing it until she's then just like doing the numbers like this. She's just she's just coming to her natural finish, and I think that's what, like, with Kim, I was just like, yeah, it just keeps on going, and then the only thing that cock blocks you is logic,
Hmm.
and then you just get incensed because you're just like, no, like I came to the restaurant, I want to come to this pizza, like this is what I want.
This is what I
uh,
planned.
This was my day. I put on my shirt, I did my hair.
I gotta watch
uh,
another 5 minutes of that. I texted them. He was Dom DeLuise reincarnated.
oh, he will hate to hear that though.
Oh yeah.
I said better.
I've known Kim for 20 years. We started doing stand up at the same time at Newport and Levy Funny Bone.
Oh
You know,
nice.
it makes a lot of sense. Like this is what I was saying before. What I said what I liked about Sweet Meats quite a bit. Like the older Troma movies, it seems like again, you got the poultry, everyone's going crazy, but it seemed like it makes a lot of sense. Like everybody in this clearly comes from a comedic background because how some of the lines and what's done and some of the timing of things, like even at the very beginning they're talking and they have the interview and they're talking about, oh, it's the people, right, and the line is there, but then both they both just stare at the camera awkwardly for about 4 seconds, which adds the comedy, right? So there's like a lot of comedic timing infused in this, whereas old Troma movies, it's more like a baby blows up and that's you're like, oh wow, I guess that's funny. But I think there's a genuine comedy in this, which I like quite a bit.
I can't take credit for it. It was I don't think it can be accredited to Edgar Wright. It might have been. I think he watched the trailer for Sweetmeats, and he said this feels a little bit like if John Waters made a Christopher Guest movie. I have to look up who. I don't want to. It's somebody who well, I was just like, oh, I was just like, great. I was like, I would never say that about myself, and that's not what I was striving for. The one thing that I did say while we were filming, and also having again the benefit of having these nothing was improvised. If I sent you the script, and I'm not saying nothing, very little was improvised. Things might have been added in a rehearsal that then we did, and we are just like, oh yeah, let's add that in. But nothing like huge. Like everybody always wants to ask, like the kitchen scene between Bobby and Jerry,
Yeah,
like
that's
or the
hilarious.
yeah, or the long like dialogue scenes where again Eileen is just carrying the weight because again that's on purpose because I'm writing, directing, producing, like costume, like doing wearing a lot of hats in this production as everybody who works on production in our movies does. But like purposely, like Eileen had to carry a lot of the plot. Like and like she has these mirrored scenes where she's like these Faustian like, "Ah, all right, how do I convince this dum dum this time to like go this next like for me it was just like all right, what if this felt like just a couple days that this thing just like almost like this weird like Beckett like play where this thing just rolls out within like maybe even 3 days
Hmm.
that they become this overnight success. Like we don't have the budget to do it, but that's like people have asked like, oh, if you did a Sweetmeats 2, what would you do? I was like, oh, we would either do a Hostel level sequel, which was like about farm to table, and it'd be real fucked up,
Hmm.
or we would do this Grand Old Opry like Late Night with the Devil, where Bobby, his dad comes out of the woodwork and becomes a colonel like character to Bobby's Elvis, and now Laddie has another father figure that she has to. And they have a fundraiser that they're doing like a Jerry Lewis like live show thing where they have these different things that they're going to be doing throughout the night, and it's in real time like a
Hmm.
countdown. And so that's the next stage because you just don't know. Like, you know, by the end of Sweetmeats, presumably there is no Bobby, but you don't know like where it goes. Like, again, I don't know if anybody is gonna ever fucking care about this movie enough to be like, oh man, what would happen there? I was like, but that's the fun that we have with these things. If we're just like, oh, if anybody ever wanted to do anything more, I was like, this is what we would do.
Hmm. Yeah. So do you have a musical background too?
I had a an appreciation of music, and my favorite group of all time is the Monkees.
Hmm.
Is one of my favorite TV shows, and so that got me into, I think, knowing about singer songwriters like Carole King, and just as of a couple of days ago, Bobby Hart, Voice and Heart, who passed away, like knowing that there are these people that write and produce, like the production of the Monkees, beyond being attracted to the show, the art, Head, that was written by Jack Nicholson, like so many different facets of them have found their way into what I've done into my art. But I think from the production side of things, like figuring out that they hire the best people, like, oh, do you have an idea? Oh yeah, we want to make this thing that sounds like this. In their case, like, we want to be a unique Beatles, but like the Beatles that were a couple years ago during Help, or like right around the Help era, like that are the younger sisters of the current age Beatle fans who still like the bubblegum sound. And they're like, all right, well, it's Monkees. So like not just manufacturing and commercializing this thing to sell, but for me, I took out of it was just like, oh, you can figure out there are people that can do things that you can't. And if like you all come together to build like the circus idea of like, okay, now you do this, this, and this. I can play guitar not super well. I don't think I exceeded how good I could play when I was in eighth grade. So like Green Day, Blink 182, like uh, I can play a little bit and write stuff that way, but over the years, I did some musical theater black box productions in Chicago that you can look up, like Babysitter Massacre '78, the musical, Mall Santa, but it was spelled Maul Santa. It is basically Die Hard in the Mall, but with zombies, but with like the real Santa and Mrs. Claus, and that was our John McClane and our Holly Gennaro.
Mm-hmm.
But so like I've always liked doing musical stuff, so over time I've either befriended or like have been able to talk into people who are better at music than I am, like David Kornfeld, who I worked with in Chicago and who arranged and did the score for Sweetmeats. Like, just again, staying together with those people that you cross paths with, that you're just like, oh, we have this shorthand. I think we work well together. Like, if you like what I'm trying to do, I'd love for you to be like, come on board with it. And so we have a list of people that I don't know that anybody has outright like ever said no, but sometimes schedules don't line up.
You know what I
But
really liked in the
yeah.
score of it, as you, it probably happened like a dozen or 2 dozen times, but I'm gonna try to do it. I probably can't, but every once in a while we do like this, right? I thought
Yeah.
that sounded great.
That was a I slowed down one of Dustin Matthew Taylor, who did Diddle My Fiddle, The Legend of Bobby Sweet, and I can't remember if there was another song, but he also recorded some incidentals, like little just these little bits, just these little riffs on his guitar. And I think that was on a pedal steel he did or on a slide. And I had heard it and I was just like, oh, I would like to incorporate this throughout the score of
Yeah.
just these moments that are almost like these, it's like bending the string.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
is the string gonna snap? Is this the moment like where the thing is gonna snap? Can we ratchet up the tension? And that's the one thing with Sweetmeats that like I don't ever know because I can't see it for. It's gonna sound dramatic. I can't see it for the first time. I think the ending is telegraphed a mile away. Like, what do you guys think?
In terms of like whether you saying you could have guessed it or not, or
Well, I just think it's evident that Jerry's going to die.
I didn't think that was.
I don't think
No?
so.
I didn't get that.
Okay.
No, I didn't
No.
think that it was evident that Jerry was going to die at the end of it. I kind of thought that, I was hoping, I guess, and thinking that maybe Bobby was going to intervene in some way. And
No, Bobby is terrible. Bobby is threatened by Jerry's talent. He can't have sex with Jerry. Like, like maybe it's just me as a person. I'm just like, I think Bobby's clocking Jerry the whole time. He's just like, oh man, you play the fool. But like, you're a better singer than I am. You're a better musician than I am.
Yeah, I really thought that when he was contemplating killing him, I thought
Yeah.
he was going to change his mind and then push Laddie in.
That's what I thought too.
And I thought
actually.
they
now
were
that I'm
gonna-
thinking about it, yeah.
Into the meat grinder.
Yeah, and
Yep.
then I thought they were going to team up and run the
Full
rest of it.
circle. Well,
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
so gosh, I'm blanking on his name. He is one of the producers of I think in the New Jersey Horror Con. He's the actor who gets his neck slit and he gets his tongue pulled out and the blood sprays. He came to the premiere and he was just like, oh man, he's like, I didn't think it was gonna end like that. I was like, what'd you think it was gonna end? He's like, I thought that Laddie was gonna slip on, that Jerry was gonna get the banana open, he was gonna throw that banana peel down, and Laddie was gonna slip on the banana peel and fall into the meat grinder. And I was just like, I was like, that's a really good ending. I was like, but then where do Bobby and Jerry go? He's like, I guess he just uses Jerry, and it's kind of an abusive relationship. And I was like, yeah, but then Bobby looks bad. I was like, I don't want Bobby to look bad. Like, I want to like push the blame on Laddie. Like, I don't. But yeah, it's interesting. It's hard for me not to see again, like the Macbeth of it all, of just like, well, Jerry is Banquo. Like, he's gotta go. Like, Macbeth knows that he's a threat. Like, Lady Macbeth knows he's a threat. Like, he's gotta get out of here.
I was sad to see him go.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I mean, that is 100% Timmy, and that is manipulated by, I think, Hyance with the camera, of just really capturing that genuine friendship between the two of them. Like, filming with Timmy, like I said, that the kitchen scene was hilarious. Such a good time.
I thought, yeah, it was so good. I mean, when he said he had that line about, well, what do you think, Hitler would not invade Poland, and then he puts a pot on his head, he starts goose down in front. It's so good, and the way you interacted with each other, I thought that was very funny.
That comes from one of the plays we had been together in this black box theater in Chicago was called Game of Mobile Homes, where he played Ned Stark and I was Robert Baratheon, and I ended up getting gored by a deer. And so there was a scene where he was there holding my hand while I'm dying, and I have a blood pump on this stage in this like 100-person black box theater. The front row is getting covered by fake blood. And just like we're having this heart to heart, and just it's this exercise in not breaking character. So because we're doing this micro budget thing like Sweetmeats, we only have X amount of takes. All that equipment in that back room of that very functioning restaurant is turned off, which we can only leave it off for a certain amount of time before we have to kick it back on because food can't fall below. So like sound, like getting all that, like running against the clock. We're like, okay, that's why we couldn't have a lot of improv. So one thing that happened during a rehearsal that made it in, and there's other improvs from other actors that I know. I mean, Timmy kind of came on set and was just like, I have this idea for this banana that my character always has banana. And we're like, tell us how you're going to, like, what does it mean? And he's just like, well, here's the rise and fall in the story of this banana. And so we're just like, okay, I think I have an idea for a music video for you at the end of the movie. But I was like, yes, that is justified. And then Eileen in that final scene, she's like, does Jerry have his banana on him when I kill him? And I was just like, yeah, he should. I was like, Timmy, where's the banana? And he's like, well, it's in his front pocket, because everybody else has to keep track of their continuity on how small and low crew of our shit is. And so, and she's like, well, what I want to do is I want to bend down after I kill him, take the banana out, successfully open it in one pull. Hopefully I don't mess up because I'm wearing these gloves. Open it up and take a bite out of it. And I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, that's brilliant. I was like, yes, please do that. And so what she didn't say was then afterwards she just chucked it at Timmy right at his crotch. He's just sitting there. But the only thing I remember adding, I think is kind of an improv, but it came from a rehearsal, was the kitchen scene with Timmy, where Timmy, as the actor, we were running through the lines and the blocking, and he put his arm up on the meat slicer. And I was like, hey man, how about you don't put your arm on the very sharp meat slicer? He's like, oh, sorry. So in the scene, that, like, if I hate to be this way, like, so precious about it, but like, if you go back, me recognizing him doing that, I knew from us improvising together numerous times, I was like, oh, he's not doing that because he's fucking up. He's doing that because he wants me as my character. He's giving me something business to do that's genuine as the character. And he like looks at me and he's like, and I was like, hey man, don't put your arm up there. That's how you cut it last. Like this is like, what a slice of like gold. Like for me, like I appreciate it because I'm just like, oh, you can't script that. Like there's no way I would have acted that well and as genuine. But I love that like glimpse into this is their life. Bobby kind of probably keeps Jerry alive from like getting and like walking over manholes and like stuff like throughout. He's a I think Jerry's a Mr. Magoo a little bit just because he's so naive to some degree. Yeah. But yeah, sorry, that's a long answer.
That's incredible insight, and it's really cool hearing about Eileen and how passionate she was about her character, because I think she might have been my favorite character in the entire film. Just the way that she delivered her lines, I thought she was awesome.
She had very good delivery.
That was learned from
Surly
All Your Friends Are Dead. I don't know where you're at yet, Jay, and All Your Friends Are Dead. Has she met her demise?
No, she just showed up and they took the noose
So
off.
sorry, she's
so-
not going to be there long.
I figure most people won't be. Yeah.
She's not going to be there long. And we made that mistake. So Sweetmeats was one of those like, oh, how do we rectify that? Like, one, we need her to do this. Like, we need her to carry. She is talented enough to carry all of this story, like all of this exposition.
Mhm.
To Eileen's credit, like again, like we work really well together and have a really good shorthand now that we are recording we are filming the counter scene in Sweetmeats where it was the only I think we only had 2 days where we had everybody that overlapped. So Andrew as Nick as their dad, Eileen and Timmy were meeting up for the first day, and where he's going up and down. He's like about pushing the meatloaf, don't feed the homeless, all of that, burgers and fries scene. And we didn't have a lot of time to rehearse it. And so Eileen saw Timmy with the banana and she was just like, what's that? And we're just like, oh, we forgot to tell you. His character has a story with a banana. And she was just like, okay, like she was clocking like, because she's an improviser too. She's just like not like worried about like getting upstage, but just like, okay, game sees game, like somebody that you can play with. So the I think we should make the print larger, like we should make the menus bigger. That whole thing that was a little bit of improv. But before we shut all that take, Eileen was just like, okay, Ricky, where is everybody? I was just like, okay, Timmy is here, blah, blah, blah. You are here, Andrew's here, and the Nick's gonna be coming down with the camera through here, blah, blah, blah. We're gonna go up to this point here, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, and where are you as Bobby? Are you just standing up against the wall there, slack jawed? Just looking like an idiot. And I was just like, yes, 100% by design. Let's go. Like, because everybody else had to carry just everything in those scenes. But I think they do a really, really good job doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like in a lot of the older Trauma, like the acting is so over the top and so crazy, and I feel like in this one it was just people came to the table with like a comedic background and did it well. You didn't have to
And then we
rely
got
on
lucky.
people.
Like you said, Surly Shirley, that's my mother-in-law who doesn't have an acting background. I was just like, hey, Brenda, I was like, would you ever want to do this? And then I showed her and she's like, what made you think that I would be able to do this? I was just like, I don't know. There's just sometimes when you get real bitchy, like real catty about things. I was like, I think it would be this woman. She's just like, oh, okay. And so again, her, as she said, like working with Eileen, she's just like, Eileen made it so nice and so comfortable. But again, Brenda is so genuine. Our upcoming film, Casually Cool, she's going to play the character of old widow Weston, who plays a character who opens up the movie who's walking the banks of the Ohio River with her cat on a leash and feeding it a can of chili, and they come across a dead mermaid on the shore, or a woman in a mermaid outfit. But so as you mentioned, like the cavalcade of like characters, like anybody who's been in something before that we were just like, ooh, we think you would be great in also this weird world as this character. We're willing to try it.
So is Pizza Guy going to be in those movies?
Yes.
All right.
Pizza Guy already has a few. The weird thing is with Pizza Guy is he's now in our heads. We're just like, well, like how are we going to utilize Pizza Guy?
Yeah.
And so like my dad who played Pon Still the Surge, he had acted in a short of ours called Roadkill. And that was basically our What If Smokey and the Bandit was a horror movie. But in that, he played just a quiet, like kind of creepy guy at a bar. After Sweetmeats, I think he had a good time doing his best version of like a Shutter Martin character, or as close as he could get. He was just like, all right, if I'm in another movie, he's like, I just want to sit at a bar, just like with a beer and just look really cool again. He's like, I think that's where I shine. So for Casually Cool, he gets to be that part of like James Garner's like dad, like Pops, who he just gets like to go check on every now and then. Gets to be like a weird like ominous character.
Okay.
Are these all horror movies? The two that you just mentioned, or are they
No.
comedies?
So these are going to be, this is our, after Troma and even going more into kind of a weirder genre with sweetmeats, um, that's what we decided to do next. Is that there's nothing about what we want to do like that doesn't say that we're ever not going to do horror again, but we're just like, all right, at this like point, maybe we just use the notoriety of having done something with Troma to then go, okay, if what you're liking is what we do with a genre, maybe then you'll like this thing, which Casually Cool, down to the soundtrack, down to the look, down to the vibe, is like I said, a 90 or 88-minute Rockford Files episode. Um, it's not going to be necessarily a period piece, but we're taking, so like Magnum PI is in Hawaii, or Rockford Files is like San Francisco. Like they have these cool locales. We have Northern Kentucky, like,
Mm.
but is right across the river from Cincinnati, and there's already that like naturally built like animosity between the two. So we can do those kind of weird like 70s detective things on a smaller scale. But with that, I think we can explore what I really like about Sweet Meat, which Eileen Ernest put this perfectly. She's like, you love your blue collar misfits. And I was like, yeah, I think I do. I think I love these weird, eccentric characters who are super comfortable in this world that they live in. And I think I want to play with that more, whether that be like a detective TV show, which is going to be Casually Cool, or the next movie that we're, if we can continue on making our budget, it leans a little bit more into horror because it deals with cult a little bit, called Trudy, which is, she's the last surviving member of a religious death cult who then is immediately thrusted into the last 4 months of a senior year of a high school.
Hmm.
And so she goes through every high school coming of age movie, every high school coming of age musical, everything within the last 4 months. So she goes from this cult who's like the end of days is going to happen by this time, to then missing out on that, to then going into an environment where they're like, all right, the end of days is this day, like you're going to be, this is truly now the end of days for you. That definitely has some more horror elements than Casually Cool,
Mhm.
but it again is just our version of just like, okay, what if we did Pretty in Pink? Like, what would we do? It's like, all right, we're earnestly gonna do this. It's gonna have humor, but it's not gonna be Naked Gun, and it's not gonna be even like Wet Hot American Summer. It's just gonna be like, if you like the humor of Sweetmeats, it's gonna be that maybe dialed up like 25%, maybe 20%.
Okay.
I think you guys should next do like a Hallmark movie, like
We've
the 12 dates before Christmas or something like that, and just flip it the fuck on its head.
we have 100%, because again, like talking about the economy of filming, man, different people that I know that work on Hallmark movies, they shoot like 20, 30 pages a day, which is like what we do, but is crazy. Like for a thing with like a budget, or
Mhm.
like people like that you are supposedly like respecting more, or like because it's professional. But yeah, so we've talked about like doing a horror version, or
Mm.
a witch, like maybe you do like a Hocus Pocus, or like a Practical Magic, like kind of like rom-com thing. Yeah, we are not short, we are not short for ideas. But the thing that I will say, that if Eric Hunter were on this, we've talked about with him being a novel writer and him sharing the load on writing Casually Cool and Trudy, we have decided that if something is starting to come easy, to like really lean into it. So like Sweetmeats, after the cancellation of Open House, it kind of snowballed. Trudy came from a text that he sent me one night, which was, I have this idea where this girl who's the last surviving member of a death cult, and she gets put into like a rom-com or something. I don't know. And I was just like, it's Pretty in Pink. I was like, she gets thrusted into Just One of the Guys, Pretty in Pink, High School the Musical, Grease 2, like she's got to go through everything in the last like 4 months of high school.
I'm intrigued. I can't.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this.
Done.
Sounds like a
You
good idea.
have you have the song White Lighter, who is a local Cincinnati band.
Mm-hmm.
I did a demo of the theme song, and like everything I have ever written, you said, "Am I musical?" Musical enough to be like, here's this idea of this thing I would like to do, and I would love if it lived in like a world that sounded like this.
Mm-hmm.
So like I did this basic theme song that is over expository for
Mm-hmm.
an opening montage, really sets the scene. And I was like, I would love for it to sound like the Psychedelic Furs, but in the sense of, again, this is a nerdy thing. John Hughes liked the original version of Pretty in Pink from like 1983 on the Psychedelic Furs album. And so when he got to make Pretty in Pink, he's just like, it kind of, I have to have that name in that song. And they were like, well, if it's a movie, we want to redo the song. So the song in the movie sounds like a more bigger budgeted, polished version of this like British like punk rock song.
Mm.
It does sound like the capitalization of like a major motion picture. Like it's so fun, but I love it. Like it's so good. Like again, the Monkees. Like regardless of what your idea is of their integrity, of your knowledge of who they are, like peripherally, like you dive into it and it's just like, man, there's a lot of great stuff to grab here.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, if we can make Casually Cool, which we're having Gary Kroger of SNL, I think it's kind of an exclusive for you guys. Jeff Richards of SNL is also signing on board to be a producer for both movies. So we have a little bit of an SNL connection now that may continue to grow with some more updates
Awesome.
if people are following along on the Indiegogo. But Casually Cool is going to happen. It's a $7,000 minimum budget. We're going to get local businesses to give some sponsorships with people that are get the Blu-rays. Again, we're offering just perks. We can offer like a special Blu-ray, soundtrack, and a poster. Things we know we can make that we can get to people that they would actually like.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a producer credit. But we are going to have Jeff Richards and Gary Kroger be in-name producers for Casually Cool. And then they're both hopefully going to play a couple pivotal roles in Trudy that we will then film in July 2026. We have the high school already locked in.
Nice.
That is down for us filming. We just have to raise $40,000, and that's
Minor details.
Yeah, it's crazy. It seems like the most amount of money, while it's like the least amount of money ever.
Right. Yeah, I've had experience. I tried to launch a board game through Kickstarter, and I know it's like getting people to like donate is it's difficult.
It's impossible. Yeah. And you feel awful. Like you feel so gross.
Yeah.
You're like, please make my dreams
I'm
happen.
just sitting there like refreshing like every 2 minutes. Like, please go up.
And like you're looking for names of people that are like in your contact list in your phone.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I know Gary's got an extra $25.
I was like, I know I sent them the link last week. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, did you guys what did you guys think of the music of Sweetmeats? Like did you guys grow up with like Every Which Way But Loose, Any Which Way You Can, or like the Smokey and the Bandit movies of that time?
Yeah, I thought it was good. It was like I'm not a country western kind of guy, but I thought it sounded good.
I didn't grow up with it, but I found that it fit really well. I mean, when I first, when we first came about Sweetmeats and everything, and I saw it was a musical, I was like, okay, well, musicals aren't really my thing, but let me see what this is about here. And watching it, I was, really pleasantly surprised at how seamlessly it fit together in the movie.
And everyone can sing. Everyone can sing. Everyone can play instruments. It sounded like a total,
We messed up again though. We didn't know that I didn't know that Eileen could sing as well as she could. So it seems like it's on purpose that she doesn't sing till the end, till Devil is a Woman. It was really ignorance of just like, I was like, fuck. I was like, if I didn't know she could sing that well. So Trudy is a musical as well, but as much as a musical as again, as it's inspired from of just like, you know, Teen Witch had musical moments, you know, High School the Musical, Grease, like there
Mhm.
are some musical moments, but it's not again, it's the closest we've gotten to like characters break out into song, which everything in Sweetmeats is again closer to like Head or Phantom of the Paradise or you know other movies
Right.
where like Smokey and the Bandit 2 where they go to the Palomino Club and Don Williams is playing. You know, you cut away almost like an SNL like, and now here's a musical guest.
I liked how you had the like almost like the MTV song and title in the corner each time a song played, and I thought this
100% Nick Hynes.
nice. Yeah, I thought the songs were catchy, and I also like that a lot of them were short because it like it kept the plot going. Some of it had exposition, but sometimes there's a song in a movie and it starts off good, and then you're like, okay, I just want the song to be over. But I never got to that point with your songs. They were long enough. Like,
I would say I learned. I don't think I knew this consciously until this is a shout out to a podcast that doesn't need it. Lonely Island and Seth Meyers podcast. I never realized that was I think my SNL cast like Bill Hader, Kristen Wiig, Amy Poehler, Seth Meyers, Andy Samberg, Kenan Thompson, just a real Fred Armisen, just a really killer of a cast. Maya Rudolph. And one of the things they talked about with like the Lonely Island shorts, like Dick in a Box and Laser Cats and stuff, is that they one of the reasons why they're able to first put them on is because they needed something in between sketches for the set change
mhm,
at different specific times for wigs and sets. And so if they ran like a minute and like 45 seconds, it was perfect.
mhm,
And so that influenced how they edited like dumb jokes, right? Like, especially in songs, like if you have a joke song,
mhm.
like if you can make the song good enough, great, but still, like, you still don't want to like listen through all of Mrs. Robinson and The Graduate. That's why there's like a demo version of that song, or even like
Mhm.
Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Like you get an early version of it because they don't even need the full version. They
Right.
just need that vibe. You just need to get into like this rhythm, into this pace. And so even for like myself, I think like dialogue, I always try to write almost lyrically to like keep on like moving.
Mhm.
Um, and that's it's definitely something I'm looking forward to into like each movie. The more that I step back from being in front of the camera and more like putting on a director's hat and planning out more shots, and is the style of Sweetmeats has those long takes because that's kind of what we were going for, almost like a VH1, like behind the scenes, almost like it's a mockumentary or documentary,
Mhm.
almost like that again, like Christopher Guest. But that I was more thinking of like, well, what if this was like that unauthorized like Lifetime biography movie or something
Mhm.
that like Bobby Sweets exist, but it almost has that mockumentary feel that they were capturing this over the top, like made for TV, walk the line or whatever.
Do you ever see American Movie?
Oh my God, love American movie. Yes,
Yeah.
it is. There is a lot of that, but doesn't that seem like Waiting for Guffman? Like to some degree, it almost feels like
Oh
a
yeah.
Christopher Guest movie.
It preceded it, right? American Movie came first,
Well, yeah, but I mean, like
I
them
think.
doing
Yeah,
like
I'm
Spinal
guessing. Yeah.
Tap, like
Right.
even before. I mean, that's not Christopher Guest directed, but like that style, or even I mean, you go back even further, like Albert Brooks, like using that like that fake mockumentary style, like.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, American movie is that's oh, they're treasures.
I agree.
A lot of the music actually, initially reminded me of if you guys have seen Walk Hard,
Mm,
Mm.
the
I
Dewey
love Dewey
Cox
Cox.
story.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of that in Sweet Meats, I was brought back to that movie, and I was like, "Oh, it works so well," because the
It
songs,
was hard because I'm also a fan, so like
yeah,
knowing a lot, like I need like 1,000 didgeridoos, like I need like all the didgeridoos. Like Hyatt and I went and saw Walk Hard when it first came out, so like there was a lot of things in Sweetmeats where we're just like, all right, we can't Dewey Cox this. I was like this gave me full on cocks.
I I love the banana thing at the very very end after the credits. Well,
Diddle My Fiddle, and
talk
that
about
was
that.
oh my goodness, that was so. I had you talk about like how I write songs. Sometimes I pull out uh, this thing, my acoustic guitar, and I will noodle around and play through something. And then I will write it out, I'll chord it out, and I'll record a demo. Or sometimes I'll just record an a cappella demo where I'll just have a melody. And so Diddle My Fiddle was, I had a little bit of like a Run DMC walk this way. Like, well, let me diddle my fiddle just for a little bit of time here on the stage. I flow with the bow, just so, like kind of that, just like nursery rhyme kind of thing. And I sent it to Dustin Matthew Taylor, who ended up doing it amazingly. And also that fiddle is awesome. That real fiddle. And he's sitting back. He's like, "What about this?" Because I told him like, he's like, "Well, what are some of your inspirations?" I was like, "Oh, Jerry Reed, Nesmith, like Kenny Rogers, Linda Rodstadt, just everybody that I think kind of infuses that sound." And he came back with that track, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, you just Jerry Reed, like, because Jerry Reed, like, you go back and listen, like, when you're hot, you're hot, like, that's early rap, like, there's a little bit of a hip hop vibe to that." And I was just like, "Yep, you nailed it." Now, so that song came before the Banana Story. We had that song. I didn't know how I was going to use it. I just thought it was a fun little song. Just this weird little like horny like innuendo song, "Diddle My Fiddle," almost like a devil went down to Georgia, but it's like nasty. Um, and because it's just all masturbation, right? Like even if you're sitting upstairs like noodling around on the guitar or whatever, that's just male like masturbation. But then when Timmy developed on set that scene with the banana, like the whole story, the arc with the banana, I was just like, all right, I know what we're doing Diddle My Fiddle with. I was like, Timmy's back in Owensboro because that's where he lives. He's got some filmmaker friends that we're friends with now through Timmy. Leland Herzog. I was just like, do you guys think you guys could film a music video where here's the story, and I fully trust you guys and Timmy especially. It's what if Jerry's in heaven to this song, and that's the only direction I gave. And they sent back. There was a few different edits with very little notes, but Timmy was just like, "I have this idea. It's gonna be this. It's gonna end like this." I was just like, "Yep." And they sent this back, and I was just like, the worst part of it is it's the best looking thing in the movie. Like it looks fantastic.
It does look really good. Yeah. You guys have any more questions? I don't want to keep you all night, Ricky.
Hey, I have a staycation tomorrow where
nice.
my wife is going to be out of town on my birthday. It's my 40th birthday, so tomorrow night we're going to see Blink 182 in Cincinnati, and so for the next 2 days I am childless.
Nice.
So you have me for as long as you want, but I also don't want to hold you, gentlemen. We can talk about me all night long. I'm
Well, this is a horror movie podcast, so give us a top 5 horror movies.
Oh my goodness. What a good question. Wicker Man is up there. Nightmare on Elm Street, it has to be number 1. I don't know how. Talk about top 5. We were talking about High Fidelity before, you sick bastard. Is that where you thought of the top 5? God. I think Psycho, Elm Street, Phantasm, Scream is up there. I'm going to list more than 5. I really like Midsommar, but I don't think anything else of Ari Aster yet. Yeah, I think that there's 5 in there somewhere. Phantasm, Nightmare on Elm Street, Psycho, Scream, Wicker Man, Midsommar. That's
What's a horror movie you hate?
like what's a horror movie you think I think is overrated?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you just
I
don't
mean,
like it at all.
I didn't think. I thought The Fog was, I think, funnier than it was a good movie.
The 1980 one with Adrian.
Yeah. Adrian
The
Barbeau.
remake. The remake was even worse from 2005. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just we were talking about Carpenter before. I think that is one, like, I don't think Big Trouble in Little China is a misstep. I think that's him doing what Carpenter was good at, not being a master of horror, being a master of genre bending.
Mm-hmm.
Like taking like these different genres that he liked and just being like, all right, what if it was a movie of this? And so kudos for him for doing it. Like Prince of Darkness, I don't love either, and that's not to
I don't
just
like
shit
that
on.
either.
Oh
Yeah.
no! This is my shit on Carpenter. I'll shit on this movie all day.
Not
I
a
know
Carpenter fan.
No, I am. I am a Carpenter fan.
All right.
But I just oh my god, what's the fucking vampires with James Woods?
Oh, I hate that movie. What is that?
Is it John Carpenter's
I
Vampires?
think
It's
I think it's just
Vampires.
called Vampires.
John
right?
Carpenter's Vampires. Put his name above the movie and everything. But
I'm
he
not,
did.
I'm not
I'm
a
sure.
James Woods guy either, so it hit
Gosh.
them both.
I am like Once Upon a Time in America. He's, I think, great. I love him in Videodrome, but I also don't love Videodrome. It's not my favorite Cronenberg. Oh, sorry, I didn't mention any Cronenberg before. Love me some Cronenberg.
Yeah, I agree. Scanners loved it. Grew up on that. It was one of the first horror movies I've seen.
Yeah,
Guy's head blows up. I was like, okay, I'm in. You know.
I mean The Fly. I mean, I also did
yeah,
mention
that's even better. Yeah.
anything also with Vincent Price. Talk about a good movie or bad movie. Like you have Vincent in it, saves the day.
Mm-hmm.
That's my dad and I. We're a month apart in birthdays, and I'm a junior. Next year, we're gonna do a joint film festival where it's gonna be a Vincent Price. It's gonna be local in Cincinnati to
Nice.
cover both of our birthdays. And God, that the hardest thing is gonna be is like, do you just shoot your shot in the first year? Like, do you do just Theater of Blood, House on Haunted Hill, The Tingler? Like, do you do like every great, or do you try to be like, all right, maybe we should hold this one back for a future year?
Right. Right.
I would totally hold it back. Totally hold it back. A couple well known, and then a couple lesser known. I would
Yeah,
totally-
yeah.
Should
Do
open
a House of Wax.
open up with
Do
the
a Witchfinder General.
open up with the Muppet Show episode with Vincent Price.
It's a great episode.
It's awesome. It's so good.
Yeah,
It's like a whole horror themed episode. If you guys haven't seen, it's really good.
yeah.
I haven't seen that.
And I guess since we did favorite movies, favorite franchises, we know Nightmare on Elm Street's your favorite. That's my favorite
Yeah,
franchise as well.
I mean, I think because I also grew up. My brother Eric's 5 years older. My brother Eric and my brother John play the homeless guys out back. John is considerably smaller now than he was then, and Eric has a child now as well. But me and Eric were pretty close, just being 5 years apart, and so I was influenced by him, like with comic books. So X-Men and then X-Men the animated series coming out like right in that prime age for both of us. Like he would tell me like different things from the comics that they weren't doing the show. Elm Street to us we bonded over because, and I know that I haven't seen it, the New Mutants I heard is the closest to being like an Elm Street X-Men
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. Well, it was decent. It was decent. People crapped on it. I thought it was pretty good.
And that's my brother Eric saw it and he dug it too. He's like, you still need to watch it. I was like, I know, but I just it's hard when a movie has so much notoriety for like not coming out
Yeah.
that I'm just like, it makes it hard for me to be like, yeah, let me throw 2 hours aside. But yeah, Elm Street was that for me because as a kid, knowing and like going to conventions and meeting a lot of these actors, like Angus Scrimm, the first time I met him, I was 6. Phantasm 3 hadn't come out or even been announced. And like we were going up to the table at his convention, at this like chiller convention. And Angus was just talking to my dad just as like a nice man. And Angus was like, does he know who I am? And my dad's like, yeah. He knows who you are. He knows. He's seen stuff. And so then Angus went from like the nicest old looking man to then looking like the tall man just by crooking an eyebrow, and he went, "Oi!" And I was just like,
Oh,
"Fuck!"
yes.
Yeah. And so a little bit of that, like having that idea of understanding how the sausage was made. Like I grew up a lot with Adam West in my life, and like knowing a lot about the Batman cast and different things, and then the monkeys and stuff. Understanding the production of it all. Elm Street was my favorite horror series because it was a movie about kids who have a dream about a thing, and like that you can't control. And so for me, like I could see a Friday the 13th, or I saw all the, my first horror introduction was Abbott and Costello and Me Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was just like, if you're cool with that, I can show you their movies. And we watched all the Universal, all the 3 decades or 4 decades of Universal horror at their biggest.
Mm-hmm.
And then the television spinoffs or whatever. And then he's like, if you're cool with that, I got Hammer. And so we went through all the, and that's just Universal but horny and like with breast, like so we went through all of that, and so he's just like, so now I'm like 6 years old, and my dad's like, all right, now it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Exorcist and this. But knowing that all of those actors and the different makeup people and stuff with Elm Street, I was just like, man, how great is it? Like I can watch a Jason movie and not be worried about this kid who's like regionally located to this lake is going to get me in Alexandria, Kentucky. But I was like, Elm Street, I could have a dream about Freddy, and I'm experiencing like the exact same thing
Mm-hmm.
that the people in the movie go through. Like, how do I delineate, like, if that's real or not, or
Yeah.
if there's going to be real repercussions of that?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
that's pretty.
Scary
That's
part.
pretty good. I think there was a line in Freddy's Dead, wasn't there, where he said, "There's an Elm Street in every town."
There's an Elm Street in every town. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's his real, like, vaudevillian Freddy. Yeah. His old, like, Hoagie Carmichael Freddy. So where did you guys land favorite franchises, Jay? Elm Street. What's your top 2 favorite Elm Street movies?
I think 1 and 3, but I
Yeah.
really like New Nightmare as well.
Of course you like 1, 3, and 7. We all do.
Yeah.
I'd say 1 and 4 for me.
4 is fantastic. It's an MTV. It's an amazing soundtrack. If you can get your hands on the OG soundtrack, such a good 80s soundtrack.
4 is the first one I
Dawkins,
saw.
right? Didn't Dawkins?
No, Dawkins 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4
Oh.
has Vinnie Vincent and Go West.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Blondie's not on the album, but in the movie.
All right, top 3. I'm gonna go 4, 3, and 1
Yeah.
from
Good.
top to bottom. 4,
Look,
3.
we watched the VHS unrated version of Part 5 at my brother's diaper party when his son was born, and at a movie theater. And Part 5 still works for me. Like I love
Agree.
the gothic like comic book nature of it, and it wraps up this storyline from Part 1 because it's 1, 3, 4, and 5. Again, had that comic book thing of like that over like. Yeah, your Friday the 13th had their Tommy Jarvises here and there or something. But Elm Street felt like the first franchise that cared about its fans. And I know that's weird to say, but there's something about it that felt more connected emotionally and I don't know, maybe magically. I don't know.
And we're a little bit divided on this one, but
Okay.
what are your thoughts on 2?
I love 2, but 2 is sentimentally before all this. I mean, I'm not saying like I was an early adopter. So my brother had come out of the closet, and the first time we had been all together since he had come out of the closet in the summer, we were visiting him at FSU, and he came out to my mom, and then my mom told my dad and I before we came back home to Kentucky, and we were all incredibly supportive, but it was still weirdly emotional. This is like 2001, and he came home for Christmas, and one of my Christmas gifts was I got the DVD box set of A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nice.
Again, 2001. It's that dark box with the gold, like the bronze gold or whatever.
Oh,
It has the
yeah,
3D,
I remember it.
the 3D pair of glasses, the Nightmare Encyclopedia.
Awesome.
So great. that was a gift I got for Christmas. And so, again, this is the first time we spent together as a family with him being out. Doesn't change anything, but it changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's dumb. And so we're like, all right, let's watch some Elm Street. Watch Elm Street 1. We all love it. Put in Elm Street 2. One that, like, I would skip over every now and then because, yeah, it broke the rules and I knew Wes Craven wasn't involved. And there was some stuff that I was just like, oh, if they'd have gone down this path, like, thank God they got Bruce Wagner and Wes Craven. And then, everybody who did Chuck, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank, who did The Mask, who did with Green Mile writer and Walking Dead, Frank Darabont, all of those guys doing part 3. That is the godsend, the save of that franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Agree.
Is if that hadn't happened, if you'd have done 2, you could have done 3, another 3 that had been like a 2, and that thing would have become an anthology series, and it could have gotten really bad.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we watched part 2, and we put it in, and my brother turned to my dad and I and was just like, "This movie's really gay," and like we were just like, "This movie is really gay." And we're just like, and this is before like really talking about what body horror, different things like the terminology, and we're still in 2001. We just wrapped up the Scream trilogy, so we're meta isn't even a big thing I think in the lexicon back then.
Right.
But then like we really laughed over it, and I think that ended up being an opening for us to just openly not be weirded out or scared by things that just like we weren't familiar with, and we just started examining all of these different films of just like, oh well, that's gay to like, well, here's coding and here's some like this and this. And so yeah, it was just so 2 I have a fondness for,
There's a
but
documentary out called "The Gayest Horror Movie Ever Made," and it's a documentary on 2 being that.
yeah, and there's also Never
Yeah.
Sleep Again with Mark, and I mean, I that bond kept on growing because like Jeepers Creepers 2 is a super gay horror movie, and I think that's someone asked like would I ever do horror again? I'm just like, well, yeah, but like there are horror elements in probably everything I'm going to do. Like I said, Trudy opens with a massive suicide death cult, and that shadow looms over the rest of the movie. But that's what I love about the horror genre is there's so many different facets of it. So you can play with like sexuality, or you can play with anxiety, you can play with postpartum, you can play,
Mm-hmm.
all of these different things. I equate it to like pizza. I don't think there is bad pizza, because even bad pizza is just like, all right, well, it's different. Like it might not be my favorite kind of pizza, but ugh, all right. That's how I feel about horror. Like,
That's
so
what
I
I
rem-
was calling the Saw franchise. Even like a bad
The Saw?
Saw movie is like
Yeah.
pizza. It's still like decent.
Oh, and the way that I mean, talk about like doing stuff that's like fan service. Almost the satirical nature that I don't know if that they're aware that they eat its own tail, like the Saw, like, oh, it's about the guy behind the guy, or this happened in these 3 days that were in between these 2 movies. Like, it's the mathematicalness, like it's the anomaly of it all is hilarious. But yeah, I do appreciate those if I see them. I am lacking in. I haven't seen Weapons or Sinners yet, but I've heard a lot about them.
I saw Sinners. I haven't seen Weapons yet.
I haven't seen Weapons. Yeah,
I haven't
saw
seen
Sinners. I liked Sinners. It was slow to begin with, and I fell asleep as it got good because I was like.
Did
2
you
in the
feel it
morning.
was slow because you thought you were ahead of? How much did you know of the movie before you went in?
Nothing.
Oh, good. Wow,
Absolutely nothing. And I still don't know it till I know now, but it just wasn't what I was expecting. I don't know, and I'm okay with a slow movie. Like the original Alien's one of my favorite movies. I like a slow burn, but for some reason that movie was a little too slow.
I just assumed that it was too slow for the audience being ahead of just be like, yeah, get to them being vampires. Like,
Well, I
let's,
knew that. I knew it was either vampires or zombies or something like that. So I knew something was coming
yeah. So
already.
maybe that's where that's what I wonder, because that's what I keep on hearing is like that there's too much build up before it starts like picking up steam. And Kugler, I mean, he's with Fruitvale Station. I was locked in, and then the Rocky franchise. I'm doing a 3 movies I picked for my 40th birthday party, and it's Pee Wee's Big Adventure, which celebrates its
Love.
40th. It's just Phil Hartman's influence, Paul Rubens' influence, just over my life and over everything I've done is huge. My love for SNL, all time favorite cast member is Phil Hartman. But next movie is going to be the Yul Brynner Magnificent Seven. Um, and then I think that movie encapsulates so much of what I love from summer blockbusters before there was Jaws, that like it has this amazing cast that some went and did great television, some did some great character actor work, but like that cast was never going to be together than in that moment of time.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just so good. And I just big fan of it. Big fan of Three Amigos, which is spawned from it. Um, and then the final movie is Rocky.
Mm-hmm.
Coogler coming into Rocky is, I just think fantastic. I think from what he did in Fruitvale Station, I think what he did with Black Panther, um, I do think without having seen Sinners and without having a true opinion, because I just want to go and have a good time at the movies of Edgar Wright's Running Man, I do think Ryan Coogler could end up in a similar kind of chase as Edgar Wright, where sometimes a smaller budget makes them make the thing they're more passionate about
Mm-hmm.
or hungry about to prove. And so Sinners, I think, might have been something that he was just like, all right, let's go have fun. Let's go make this. It's saying this. It's going to involve this. Fucking you like Michael B. Jordan. What if you had two Michael B. Jordans?
Right.
So like I think that's what he was doing for that, and I don't know that I didn't love. Oh my gosh, last night in Soho. Where'd you guys fall on it?
Didn't like it.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't see it. I wasn't overly sold on the trailer, so
I didn't love it. I thought it, just a little disjointed.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
there's some great practical stuff. Um, but yeah, as a whole, like I got what it was kind of doing of like those British giallos, like a British giallo of like the 70s, but
Yeah.
it didn't after Baby Driver, I was just like, oh yeah. I was like, okay, yeah, you walked away from Ant-Man to make Baby Driver. I was like, yes, let's keep doing this. Like pay the bills and do your script rewrites or whatever. But then with Running Man, I'm just like, so is this your payback for Last Night in Soho not making money? Like they needed someone competent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you in director's jail at all? Like, a director that talks openly about this is Jay Chandrasekhar of Broken Lizard, where he talks about if you do something for the studio and you don't get a certain amount of money back, you get put in director jail, and that means you might have to work television for a little bit, or you might have to direct the Dukes of Hazzards, or you might have to you might have to do something you don't necessarily want to do, but how far you're in director jail dictates the level of the property that you get to play in the sandbox of. So I think Running Man, obviously, if he's presented with, all right, you got to do something that's almost guaranteed to not lose a dime.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do? I don't know. I think it's Running Man. But again, not for me. I'm not shitting on anyone. I just want to go to the movies. Like, I had a great time at Fantastic Four. I cried 3 times. So, like, I just want to have a popcorn fun time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think we're just about out of time. My wife's asleep, so that's
that's the anti-alarm. It's like if she's asleep, you've gone too
And if I
far.
wake her up, that's no good. So, um, what do you want to plug? Where do you want people to go?
Go to the Indiegogo link. By the time this drops, you will probably be announcing, and I hate this, that you'll be announcing probably more things that would have been really interesting for me to bring up, but that haven't come to a close yet with these films. Our biggest thing is we had Trudy to make for this bigger budget, and I didn't want to sit and wait and not make something when, like I said, we're not at a loss for ideas. It was like, okay, what are the things we want to make? And it's like, okay, heart and humor. That's what we want to put into whatever we make. Whether we're making our version of a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, or we're making the high school coming of age movie, or we're making the detective episodic thing. So this whole idea, this gimmick is like, okay, we can never answer how we're going to get people to see it, but maybe we can figure out how we can do what we do in the most logical way. Okay, we're going to project like a film studio. We're going to release 2 movies. This one, $7,000. This one, $40,000. We're going to give it the time to get that budget. So that's what we're doing right now. I think Casually Cool is going to meet its budget. So people have time now to go to the Indiegogo and get the Blu-ray, start supporting it, because once that reaches the $7,000, that's going to unlock the next tier, which is Trudy, which has to hit at least $40,000 before we can even. I know it doesn't sound like a bigger scope musical or like a bigger scope movie, but a musical like with dance sequences and choreography.
mhm.
Just the insurance alone on the high school, I'm sure, is going to be costly.
Right. Okay, so the link will be in the show notes.
Yes.
Everyone check that out. And it's been so awesome talking to you. This has been phenomenal. Thank you.
This
Oh,
has been great.
Yeah,
I'm
thank
sorry
you
for
very much.
steamrolling. If ever you guys have a specific topic that isn't me, if you're just like, hey, we want to talk about the Japanese movie House or like some obscure like horror movie, happy to come on.
I actually watched that about 2 months ago.
Wait, did you
Yeah.
like it? What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, it was
Loved it.
insane.
Trip.
Yeah.
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 The floating head biting the girl's ass. It's just so funny.
I love finding stuff like that, and then those are gentle reminders of. I know we're wrapping up and we should be done, but Dial M for Murder.
Mhm.
Rewatching that when I get into my head, because I not only am I the writer, I'm also the producer and the director, so it's sometimes hard because I don't want to edit while I'm writing, but I also don't want to overwrite myself a situation where I'm like, I don't know how we're going to produce that. Like, I'm going to do this. Hitchcock,
Mhm.
when she gets brought in for questioning, they go through her interrogation, the court, the trial, or her getting locked up. Like, they go through everything with her in front of a wall and the camera going like this and like a light like passing through like crazily as people like just throw dialogue at her. And I was just like, yeah, that's all you need.
Yeah.
I was like, you don't need to go do a David E. Kelly like courtroom drama
Right.
for like an hour. Like, yeah, just get through get through the information and get back to the shit that matters. The intrigue of like, is the husband gonna get caught hiring a dude trying to kill his wife? So that's old stuff like that. Is really kind of things that we're trying to incorporate with the movies we make too, of being like, well, you don't have to be in Atlanta or Hollywood or New York or wherever. Like, you can be anywhere. Just use these old tools that didn't exist before this technology, and this technology can help you achieve those old styles and those old kind of tricks of making a movie.
Yeah. Sometimes less is more. All right. Well, thanks again. Really appreciate it. And
Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Yep,
looking
thank you.
forward to the
It's
next
awesome
couple
talking
films.
to you, man.
Ah!
Bye.
Ba-dee-da-bum, 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 ba-dee-da-bum.